Welcome, everyone. Hope you're enjoying this great week in the business of golf. My name is Brian Crowell. I'm the director of golf at Osiris Country Club, and I'm also happy to be the moderator for a very exciting panel here on entrepreneurship. And we hear a lot about the business of golf, but the business is about more than just on course. It's about what you do with your time off the course, and we have 4 specialists in that area. So this Secrets of Success as an Entrepreneur is going to be a fantastic opportunity for us to learn a little bit more from some successful guys that can tell it like it is. And we've got a great lineup for you. 4 great players from the NFL, and they're doing great things now post their game time careers. So I'll introduce them one at a time. First up, not only a popular former NFL player, but also a network broadcaster who now serves as CEO of the NFL Alumni Association, which supports the health, financial, and social needs of 5,000 former players, coaches, officials, administrators, and cheerleaders. He was a former defensive back drafted by the Dallas Cowboys in 1976 and later played for the New York Giants and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. After his playing career, he was a network analyst on NFL games for both NBC and CBS. He also worked as a sports anchor before becoming a sports director at KYW-TV in Philadelphia. He was inducted into the Broadcast Pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame in 2012. And another nice note, the man's an Eagle Scout. Please welcome Beasley Reece. And next up, this man has earned 3 Super Bowl champion rings with the Giants and the 49ers in a 14-year professional career as a starting center. And he always looked to contribute to the betterment of his team, both mentally and physically. He now serves as the president of NFL Alumni, the oldest and most recognizable national organization of retired professional athletes. Their mission, caring for our own, is to serve, assist, and inform its members and their families. NFL Alumni offers a wide array of medical, financial, and business programs to help members lead healthy, productive, and successful lives. NFL Alumni also promotes the post-playing careers of its members, and it also contributes to local community initiatives under its Caring for Kids programs. He's a lawyer, he's a bishop, he's a 5-time Pro Bowler. Please welcome Bart Oates. Our next panelist had a distinguished career over 2 decades as an NFL quarterback, most notably with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's an author, he's a Pro Bowler, NFL Player of the Year in 1980, and today he splits time between professional television commentary and golf course ownership. His focus is on playability, one of the 4 pillars of his approach to golf course ownership, along with affordability, atmosphere, and a good pace of play. He says each of his courses pulls in a significant profit. Quote, "I have never lost money on a golf course," unquote. I love this guy. He says that proudly because he knows a lot of people can't. This is Jaworski. And finally, an NFL running back for 13 years, primarily with the Buffalo Bills, also the Dolphins, Pro Football Hall of Famer, Super Bowl 4 consecutive years, Pro Bowler 5 times, NFL's Most Valuable Player, and NFL Offensive Player of the Year, both in 1991. Buffalo Bills Wall of Fame has number 34 retired for the Buffalo Bills. Now, he's the president of 34 Group, a minority-owned construction company based in Western New York. He's been involved in a lot of different initiatives, telecommunications, energy, and again, this guy is a legend in the NFL. Please welcome Thurman Thomas. Guys, let's take a seat. Well, I know Mr. Jaworski is involved in golf, having golf course ownership under his belt. I'm assuming we have 4 players up here. You guys all like the game of golf?
I love it. I mean, I actually had a text this morning from Andre Tippett, who used to play for the New England Patriots, at 6 o'clock this morning saying, Tiger's going low today. So that's how much I'm involved with golf. I have friends like that text me about golf all the time, but I love the sport. My first time being here at this event, and man, it's absolutely gorgeous.
And we were talking about the importance of growing the game in places like Buffalo that doesn't have a very long season. Golf simulators are out there. Folks, check that out. But guys, this is going to be a real treat for me just to hear from all of you. And, you know, in golf, we have the Champions Tour. So it's almost like a rebirth, and they get a chance to try this all over again. Not so much the case with the NFL. So I give you guys credit for looking ahead and finding that next business opportunity in life. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your definition of entrepreneurship and what it is you guys think are important qualities to take your business to the next level after perhaps an already successful business has closed. Thurman, why don't we talk with you first?
Well, I think for me, going over from the NFL to the business that I'm in now, a minority state-owned company in the state of New York, you know, I think the one thing that I've learned throughout the business that I'm in construction is that, you know what, we miss the trades that we used to have way back when. And so with our company, me and my wife and what we do, we go to a lot of communities and communicate with people. I think that's the most important thing that we've learned since we've been in business now for 5 years, that the communication that you have to have with your company and the community that you might be building a project in. I think the communication is definitely, like, for my part in my business, because as much as I love having the people that are like 45, 50, I want the kids that are 20, 25, 30 years old, and those are the kids that really kind of grow your business, because they're going to be in it for a long period of time. So for me, I think communication is the most important thing in my industry.
I'm sensing some teamwork here too. Way to go, Thomas team. I love that. And community engagement is so important in business. Ron, what are some keys for you?
Yeah, I was very fortunate to play 17 years in the National Football League. And the lessons I learned were many. But probably one that stands out is to learn from your mentors. And to me, that was coaches. And I played for guys like Don Shula, the winningest coach in the history of the NFL, Dick Vermeil, Buddy Ryan, Marty Schottenheimer, Chuck Knox. All those coaches I played for won over 1,000 games in the NFL. And yes, they were great X's and O's coaches. They knew how to put you in a position to be successful. But I learned from them, it's not just about talent. It's about maximizing that talent. As a leader, you need to maximize the talent of the people around you. So in my business, and I've got 700 employees in my golf company, and if you go to my website, you see the top line is compete every single day. And every person on this stage has learned to compete every single day when we were athletes. Right. You know, fight hard, work hard for your brother. And it's the same thing that I have my staff doing. We're all in it together. I may be the coach or I may be the owner, but I'm not going to be successful unless my staff understands what we have to do every single day. And the lessons I learn from teammates, from coaches, are the same things that I tell the people that work with me. They don't work for me. They work with me. We're all in it together. So I just tell them, hey, every day we get up, man, we compete every single day to not be good, but to be great. Our goal is to be great every single day.
That is fantastic. I mean, that is a lesson we all need to keep telling ourselves over and over again, because it is about a teamwork approach. And Bart, I'm going to throw it to you.
Yep.
That opportunity to be in that arena with teammates and be part of something special. Have you been able to use that and build on that in your business outside of the football stadium?
So I'm different than these guys. I was the lineman. I'm the guy that put it all on the line, protected the quarterback.
We appreciate that.
That's why Ron's face looks so nice. We blocked for the running backs and we tried to avoid the defensive backs. We never could catch them. But it was really about so much. It's knowing that you have to have the right team around you. You're learning, but you've got to put the right people around you and be willing to listen to them You know, not having an ego involved with it, so that, you know, you think your idea is going to be best. It's, you know, the best organizations are the ones that the leader will say, all right, let me surround myself by people that are better than me, and that's what a team is. In football, it was, you know, I was maybe the best center, but there was a lot of other guys who were better at what they did, and relying upon what they do, trusting what they do, that makes a good team.
Yep. By the way, I would guess that we have the best jewelry collection anywhere in the Orlando area right here. I mean, you guys have to have an
can't
awesome
wear all
collection.
his.
I know. It's impressive. Impressive. Beasley, I'm going to turn to you and ask you a little bit about this. Now, you transitioned from the NFL and went into broadcasting in a very successful career that continues. Talk about that transition and how football helped prepare you for that.
Well, I think that's a difficult walk. It's like walking in golf from the driving range to the first tee. That transition from the National Football League is a difficult one for all of us. So I was lucky to be able to go into sports broadcasting, still be around teams, calling games around the country. So it made it softer for me because I was still around the fellas. I think like these guys, I call a lot upon the coaches that I played for, and I played for Tom Landry, Mike Ditka. It's a long list. Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, Marty Schottenheimer, John McKay. It just goes on and on. These philosophers, leaders, these personalities that can gather a group and move them in a direction.
There's a charisma there.
There is a charisma. There's like and with a lot of these guys, there wasn't so much in Belichick. He was more factual and scientific, but a lot of those guys were like a Baptist preacher. You know, they could just energize you and get you excited about the day. One of my great memories, guys, is every morning, Tom Landry from 9 a.m. to 9:30 would give a speech, and it was about life, and it was about family, and it was about faith. I mean, it was life-changing stuff every day. So I think if you're running a business, you know, you need to be a leader. You need to sometimes you have to change the culture that's going on around you to make it more positive, like Ron was talking about. Let's go win every day. Let's be great. And I think a great entrepreneur is a person that understands that it's me, it's my energy that's going to make this successful.
Bart, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. And this goes to a little bit of what Beasley was saying. This man right here, primarily with Buffalo throughout his career, but you guys have changed teams a little bit. You've gone to different leadership styles. And one of the things I wanted to ask was, how difficult is it for someone to move from one leader to another? And in this case, there are assistant professionals out here that go from one head pro to another head pro and get different direction, different styles. Talk about moving from one set of leadership skills to another.
Well, I started, even before the NFL, I started in the USFL, and my coach was Jim Mora, and he was just high energy, very intense guy. Then I go just a little bit down was Bill Parcells, who was just very demanding, very straightforward about, you know, you do your job, you're here. If you're not, you won't be here. And then I go out to San Francisco when George Seifert was the head coach, and he was typical. If you think of California, right? I mean, sunglasses. He would sit there, and the assistants were doing all the coaching. He would stand there, and there would be entire practices. He doesn't even engage, won't even talk to the coach. He stands there and just watching. And you knew he wasn't really there. He was somewhere up in Northern California fly fishing, you know, in his mind. That's what he was doing. But different styles, but it worked for him, for each of those coaches I mentioned. Each were successful in their own right.
Very cool.
Fly fishing?
George Seifert, yeah, that's.
So, Ron, I'm going to move to you. You know, the rest of these guys on the panel.
That's what they do in California.
They were a little worried about time of possession with the microphone in Ron's hand, but this has been very balanced, very balanced.
Hey, and by the way, that really is Beasley's voice.
He
So, Ron,
pulled out that announcer's voice, didn't he?
The announcer's voice.
Yes.
Beasley Reece here.
let me ask you this. So, in recruiting for your business, you find, let's call them players, we'll keep the analogy going, and you bring in someone who has all the qualities, the resume is there, and yet they don't seem to fit into your structure. How much time do you spend trying to help them join the team, or do you say, you know what, maybe it's time to trade this guy?
Well, I've kind of come through the years of being in business that you hire slow and fire fast. You take your time going through the process, get the right people. But if they can't adapt to your culture, sooner or later, you're going to let them go. And you're better off moving on from that person before it becomes infectious. And it's like cancer. You get one bad apple, and all of a sudden you got 2, you got 4, you got 6. So if you sense that person doesn't fit in your organization, you better be darn sure you don't keep in the organization. So we in our human resource department we are very in depth in how we interview people and make sure that they are a right fit. And quite honestly, I look at a lot of resumes myself, and this is just me, and other people do it a different way. I kind of look on the resumes that were they involved with sports, men and women.
That's an edge.
Because you know, you're going to get knocked down. We've all been beaten up, but you keep getting back up. And if I'm bringing someone in even to work in the pro shop, you know, and they're going to deal with, you know, a couple hundred customers a day, the minute someone gives them a hard time, I don't want them to wilt. I want them to bow their back and compete. So if you've played sports at any level, you know, high school, junior high school, little league, you've been knocked down a little bit. You had your nose bloodied a little bit. And so you get a little bit tougher for it. So I look on resumes for people, if they've been ladies in field hockey, basketball, softball, guys, maybe football, baseball, whatever, but some competitive sport, and particularly a team sport. Because, hey, we all played football, the consummate team game. In business, to me, it's the consummate team game. Everyone working together. So hiring is very, very important. We take it very seriously.
That is a great point, and I'm going to move to
So Brian,
Thurman here.
Listen,
Yes.
and Ron knows what he's talking about because he's been knocked down. I saw Lawrence Taylor hit him so hard. It was
I was having a
unbelievable, and
good
he got
day,
up
so-
from it. I thought he was dead. And
All
he
right.
got up and completed the next pass.
Ron, the worst hit ever. Does it stand out? Was there a sack that just you can't get? You wake up at
What?
night.
What are we talking about? Well, I actually did, and I'm not bragging about this, but when I retired in 1990, I was able to get my medical files, and you can't take them or anything, but you can look at them. They're probably gone somewhere now. It's been so long. But I had 32 logged concussions on my injury report.
Jeez.
32. Oh, now, only twice as I knocked out, but fortunately the athletic trainers did a great job. If I saw the twinkling of the lights, they would at least put it on my report. So
We're having some
so
fun
now
with
if
it,
there's
but man,
anything
that's a
I mess
serious
up, now you know
that's
why.
a serious issue.
and the league has done a great job with handling concussions and making them, you know, less right now.
Well, I think they're getting good input from good people that are sitting to the left of me here. I'm going to move to Thurman Thomas here for a second. Ron, you brought up something great about human resources and taking your time hiring people. I think a lot of business owners say, well, we're small. We don't need that. We'll wait until we get bigger to really put that amount of time and effort into the hiring process. What is the Thurman Thomas take on that?
I think Ron's absolutely correct. I mean, we got into the business back in 2014, and we were a new business, and everybody was excited for us, and we were excited for ourselves. But I think we hired too fast, too soon, and it was a disaster for us. I mean, after a couple of years, maybe we talked about shutting the company down. I mean, that's how much of a disaster it was because we grew too fast as a company. But, you know, when you're in this business, you meet people, you talk to people, and boy, we ran into somebody that really had the knowledge for us, who's actually our new CEO right now, that turned everything around quickly for us. And we have been knowing him for a couple of years. And so I definitely think with that, what Ron said is exactly right, man. You have to What was it?
Hire slow.
Hire slow, fire fast. And
That's a bumper sticker from the panel right
and
there.
After,
Hire
the
slow,
first,
fire
after the
fast.
first couple of years, that's what we did. We brought in a couple of guys that knew how to turn our business around, and we did that. And that's the hardest part, really, firing somebody that you kind of depend on, that grew with your business over the first couple of years. But in business, as in life, if you're not doing your job well, you're not doing it the way you're supposed to be doing it, hey, you got to fire that person. You cannot let that person hinder your ability to go out and find work and do things right.
Now, speaking as a PGA professional myself, I'll turn it back and say, what kind of feedback do you allow for? Do you do quarterly reviews? The last thing you want to do is fire somebody and they say, well, why didn't you tell me I was doing a bad job last year? I mean, how often do you meet with the members of your team for a review of how they're doing it? And I'll open this up to everybody.
We do it annually, but I'm around my leadership team a lot. Like we have 7 general managers and 7 golf directors here working the show.
By the way, are you accepting resumes this week?
Yeah, always want quality people.
Okay, here we go. There's a lead.
When you're in a nice environment like this, you get to spend time with people rather than just a work environment. So when each day when the show's over, we all go have dinner together, and I'm really picking their brain and see how much they're working the show and how much they're enjoying it. So, but annually we sit and we talk about and evaluate. So you need to know the score, and throughout a week, a month, a year, you always see people say, hey, you need to pick it up a little bit, man. You got to be honest with people, because the last thing you want to do is bring them in and say, hey, we have to let you go. You got to move on with your life. So if something, and they go, wait, but I didn't know I was doing poorly. So you need to give them the evaluation along the way.
They need to have some objective goals, preferably numbers to reach, and something. And so that's where they know if they've hit the mark. So if they don't know if they hit the mark, then there's this confusion, there's this doubt, have I? And so if you don't have that set up and then you don't have that review, as players, we got reviewed every Monday. You'd sit there in the film room and it was merciless. I mean, they'll let you know in a heartbeat. It doesn't matter whether you're a future Hall of Fame running back, you were going to get you were going to get it if you didn't do it the right way.
Yeah, and I think that's something that the PGA of America is trying to push. Accountability and the value you bring to your facility. And you could say, I'm not a numbers guy, but you better be a numbers guy. You better know how things are being impacted by your programs and your presence there. So that's an important message.
I remember, not to interrupt, I remember one of the lines when Dick Vermeil was coaching the Eagles, and the players always have some slogan that they're involved in. Ours was the thrill of victory and the agony of watching the tape the next day.
You know what? I'll talk to Beasley here for a second. Self-review. Listen, you get into the broadcasting field, and we talk about game film and looking back. You ever watch your performance in front of the camera and review that and try and learn from that?
I started...
Or were you perfect from the get-go?
I started at WTOG in Tampa, Florida, if anybody's from this area. And I used to make a mistake or stumble or something I didn't approve of personally. I would leave with everybody else, turn around and go and park at the Bay, Tampa Bay, and scream. I'd turn around and go back to the station and watch the tape over and over and over for hours until I refined my craft to the point where I could call myself a pro. I mean, and I think you have to be that self-critical. You have to have that standard. You have to, and sometimes I was telling Bart recently, I'll run into a guy who's 5'11", 285, and tells me he was a pro, and I'll shake hands. Oh, well, who'd you play for him, and what position? And then he'll tell me he was a cornerback.
What quarterback did you eat?
5'11", 280. And so I get right on him. Come here. Come here. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves who we are. You know, who do you want to be? What standard have you set for yourself? And are you living up to it? So that's a part of my job is I remind guys, you were a player in the National Football League. You go win at this new job, at this new direction. You go win.
That's right.
to do the things that you did to get into the NFL.
Dang, I'm getting excited, Beasley. Listen to you.
See, we're looking for motivation here. This is beautiful.
Can I chime in a TV story as well? Because it just relates to what Beasley was talking about. And social media now, you better be aware of social media. People will let you know immediately if you're good on the air, if your sales department is good, if your greens are bad. They will let you know within seconds if his construction company
Without thinking about
is
it.
bad.
Yeah.
And so I did Monday Night Football for 5 years with Mike Tirico and John Gruden. And we actually had a game in Miami the Patriots played, and Brady threw a pass up the sideline, and I went, O-S-H-I-T. And I kind of didn't realize I said it. So we go to a break, and our producer comes on. He goes, Jaws, did you say S-H-I-T? I said, no, I didn't say that. He goes, well, listen to this.
Sounds like my voice.
Yeah, I did say. I said, well, man, he goes, social media is blowing up. So now you got to come out of a break. We're in the break, and you got to get there. And I got Mike Tirico here and John Gruden here, and I got to apologize for using the word S-H-I-T to 20 million people. So now when you come out of the break, the camera is on me only. Oh my God. And I got Mike and John are next to me, and they are laughing like you could not believe. And I'm trying to keep it. I'm sorry for using an inappropriate word on the last drive by the New England Patriots, and I apologize for that very much. And these guys are killing themselves. So social media evaluated me very quickly, like it does all your businesses, folks.
Let's talk about risk, taking risks, taking chances in business and in what you guys are doing day in and day out. You hear about entrepreneurs, and you always hear, listen, somewhere along the line, these men and women have had to take chances, take risks, and go where they didn't think they might have an easy road. Thurman, how about you let us know about managing risk in business and the pros and cons of taking a chance?
Well, you know what? It started back for me about taking a chance. Actually, the Buffalo Bills actually took a chance on me back in 1988 when they drafted me because I had a so-called bum knee, and they took a chance on me. And I thank them every single day for that chance that they drafted me back in 1988. It was the best moment of my life. A kid coming from Oklahoma State my senior year. My wife today, who I met at Oklahoma State, got drafted by Buffalo. She was from Buffalo. And so they took a chance on me. She took a chance on me, and 32 years later, we're still together. But in life, you take chances like that. And with the construction company, I've taken a lot of chances for a lot of people that I've hired. And you know what? Some have come back to bite me, but I've given people an opportunity. I'm a minority-owned company, so I look for minorities and have them and take a chance on them all the time. It's not because, that's what I have to. That's what I want to do. I want these minorities to be successful, and that's why in the construction business, yes, it's very risky business. But my wife and I take it very, very slow and very, very seriously on some of the people that we hire. Some of them have been bad mistakes. Some have been good mistakes. But you take a chance on people, and I think when you take a chance on people that might have an opportunity to succeed beyond what we're trying to get them to do, that works for me, that works for my company, and that works for my family.
Incredibly valuable. I mean, to have that experience of having someone take a chance on you at that position in your career, in your life, I know that you feel that as you go forward in those opportunities. Ron, how about you?
Brian, it's absolutely amazing. It's so great to be here at this show, because I get so excited. I'm around the people in the golf business. It's amazing the number of people that come up to me and say, Charles, are you crazy? You're in the golf business. It sucks. It's declining. No one's in the golf business. Wrong. So dead wrong. 2019 was the best year I've had since I've been in the business. That's 40 years. I am really excited about 2020. So Thurman talked about taking a chance. You have to take a chance. You got to believe in yourself. Now, I can get into all the business stuff about buying right, but you've got to believe in yourself and put a good team together, and you can be successful. I'm excited about what's happening in the golf. Our rounds are up. play from women, play from kids. Obviously, senior play is still a major part, of golf. But I'm excited about the future of golf. When you walk this huge show, you realize there's a lot of people that share the enthusiasm for the game of golf and the business of golf. And I had 7 golf courses this past year, and a year ended, and I had 7 profitable golf courses. Bottom line, all in, cash in the bank. So if you're looking for someone to manage your courses, maybe you ought to talk to me.
That deserves a break. Can we give a round of applause for Ron Jaworski? The golf business is good.
It's
Thank
good.
you.
It
Thank
is
you.
good.
I feel good after that. Bart.
You're talking about risk. I mean, you've got 4 guys sitting here that lived risk. I mean, real risk, where you're physical harm. Every time you went on that football field, there was a risk of harm, of injury. We all experienced it. As an offensive lineman, it wasn't so much, for me, it didn't care about me so much. It wasn't that. My fear was, what about my quarterback? What about my running back? If I mess up, I can get them hurt. I remember one play we're playing, actually it was playing the Philadelphia Eagles, close game. I miss a block. He hits my quarterback, Jeff Hostetler, knocks him out. He misses the next 2 weeks because he has a concussion, and he can't even leave his room. That was on me. I mean, that's a risk, that we all take, and so we understand it. We understand the risk. It's really about a passion. I mean, having a passion for what you do, willing to overcome that fear of failure, because that's what there is that fear of failure, and then that's that passion of saying, can I really do this? Can I be successful at this idea, this thing that I think is such a great idea? And eventually, the differentiator is the ones that are successful, the ones that have that passion, and they won't give it up. They'll keep trying, It's indomitable. And those are the guys that will be successful.
Got to have that confidence. And you brought up a great point about protecting others. Here's an analogy for the Philadelphia guys, but pretty close to Atlantic City. Going to Atlantic City with my money is taking a chance. Going to Atlantic City with Beasley Reece's money, now I've got pressure. That's a whole different thing.
Hey.
Beasley, let's hear from you on the topic.
Yeah, it is, but that would
taking
never
chances.
happen.
You've taken a lot of them.
Beasley still has that first check from his first signing bonus.
Well, Bart talked about physical risk, and this is not going to go well, what I'm about to say. I was talking to my son, and I just blurted out that no man ever hurt me in the National Football League. No man ever hurt me. Now, I got hurt by AstroTurf. No, I'm serious. I blew out a knee, but no other player ever hit me where I felt like I got hurt. So and I think it's the position. I played free safety, so normally I was taking cheap shots at Thurman. A couple of linebackers have the running back held up, and I'm coming flying in there. But it depends on what position you're playing. I want everybody in here to know that the NFL Alumni is a golf company, and we are open for business. We do 30-plus golf tournaments, including culminating in the Super Bowl of golf. We'll be in Pinehurst this year. So anything that you sell or do or know that you can help us raise money for retired player programs, I'm right here. I got a pocket full of business cards. We are also in the golf business, and we need your help. We need your suggestions. We need your experience. So don't be shy when we get off of this stage to walk up and shake a hand or two, and let's talk about it.
Beasley, who is the defending champ of the Super Bowl of golf, by the way?
This is a bad topic, people. This is a bad topic. So we have 35-plus chapters. The champions of their local tournament meet somewhere nationally. As I said, again, this year it's in Pinehurst. And the champion gets Super Bowl of golf rings. They hate Ron Jaworski. They hate it.
No.
They've won four
we
consecutive years in a row. And let me tell you something. No applause.
Round of applause for Ron Jaworski.
We've got to get Ron out of
the
there.
Super Bowl of golf.
No,
the
do not
Super
clap
Bowl
hands
of
for Ron.
golf.
No,
It hurts. It hurts, Beasley. I know it.
Maybe I should buy a golf course.
He came out of he was in my chapter in Philadelphia, and I remember making speeches about this. We went 35 years, Philadelphia never did anything in the Super Bowl of golf. And I remember one day I walked up and down the field before my group of players before we teed off, and I asked a simple question: why not us? And this boy took it and went crazy. They won 4 in a row.
Love it. You know, we've heard about Tom Landry. We've heard about some coaches that have had a strong impact on you guys. If I could have you vamp on that a little bit more about sources of motivation, some great coaching moments that were impactful to your career and your future, some conversations perhaps with a mentor or someone who really made a difference in your life. Who comes to mind?
Well, I mean, for 9 years, I played for great coach Marv Levy, and who was a very great historian. He told stories back from World War I, World War II, and they all like related to football. You know, a lot of guys, including myself, didn't get it till like a day later what he actually meant. But he was such a great leader of men, he wasn't a screamer or a hollerer or anything like that. And it was what these guys said before. You've had all these different coaches, and Marv was a guy who, he talked about different approaches, talked about football, but talked about life, talked about family. You know, he would come up to myself and my wife and be like, hey, how's Olivia doing? Instead of, hey, how you been doing? It's about our kids, our family. Have you talked to Bruce lately? How's Jim doing? And he still does that today, and he's, 96?
That's incredible.
96 years old.
Yep.
But I think for me, having Marv Levy there was great. But the guy that I leaned on so much in my career early on was my running back coach, Elijah Pitts. He played for the Green Bay Packers, and he was there the first Super Bowl, the second Super Bowl. With Vince Lombardi, and just telling all the stories about how he raised these men and how Vince was so hard on them. And when I got to talking to Eli, I was like, you're not going to be hard on me, are you? and he wasn't. But the stories that he told.
You feel like you're a part of history.
I'm a part of history. Being with this guy, talking about Vince Lombardi, Jerry Kramer. He went through all the old Green Bay Packers, all the great football players that played for them. And the last one I talked to, who passed away a couple of years ago, was Jim Taylor. And very good friend of mine, and we would always sit by each other at the Hall of Fame every single year, and got to know Jim very, very well. And all of the things that he said, the same things that Elijah Pitt said about being a leader, but more importantly, being a good person. Trying to be a good person every single day.
Great message.
That's what Elijah Pitt taught me when I was with the Buffalo Bills and he was my coach. Good, bad. After every Super Bowl loss we had 4. But he was like so positive about it. Like, you got to come back and be better next year. You got to come better and do better than what you did the year before. And so when you hear words like that, all that positive stuff coming back and forth from all these coaches from way back, man, it has helped me mold myself into the person I am today.
Surrounding yourself with good people. Ron, who comes to mind? Mentor,
Dick
inspiration?
It was Dick Vermeil, and probably all of us on the stage have been impacted by great coaches and great leaders and great teachers and great mentors. And, my dad passed away when I was 19 years old, so as a young man, I kind of got off the beaten path a few times. My mom was phenomenal, but she wasn't the disciplinarian my dad was. And then I go to Philadelphia, and Dick Vermeil is the head coach, and he really became my dad. He would chew my butt out. He would pat me on the back. He would hug me. He would do all those things that a dad does. And to this day, we still talk on a weekly basis, at least twice a week. He calls, I'll call him, not only football, but what's going on with the family. So the football family is very, very important to all of us, but we all have been fortunate to be around not only great people, but great leaders that cared about us as people, not just a disposable product on the football field. So Dick Vermeil certainly, to me, is a guy that helped me get where I am today.
You know, I would share that with this audience also. I think in golf, we're a very tight-knit community. This week is a great example of that. Everyone gets together. It's like a high school reunion here. And to see you four guys back there, there's that same sense of togetherness. Perhaps even if you aren't together for years at a time, you get back together and it's that feeling of, wow, we're kind of a team in our own way here. Who comes to mind for you, Bart? Inspiring.
No, there's that commonality that, you know, we know, regardless of different teams, we did things and had experiences that we know that separates us, and that creates this bond that, you know, that is unbreakable. With Coach Vermeil, you talk about a guy that cares. He called me I've talked to him probably 4 or 5 times this past year. He's calling us as the NFL Alumni Association because of a former player of his that he hasn't coached for 20, 30 years. He'll say, this young man's struggling. What can we do to help him? I mean, there's a guy, there's nothing in it for him except that he has a genuine concern and care for that young man. And that's the quality of person that Dick Vermeil is. Now, guy I hated, quite frankly, and that's a strong word to use. I don't say it a lot, but
I'm bracing myself.
When I was playing, when I played for the Giants, I could not stand Bill Parcells. Oh, there were guys that had to quit. I mean, he drove them off. They had nervous breakdowns. I'm not exaggerating, because he was so hard. He was so demanding. He was so exacting on guys. And if you couldn't take it, matter of fact, you look forward to the games where you'd have live action because Bill Parcells couldn't get on the field and you were protected from him, So it's this, but as I look back, on it, I'm saying he had a plan. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was weeding out the guys that were going to fold into pressure, that weren't going to get the job done when it really counted on the field. And he put so much, and so he just made it, so mentally, when you got on the field, nothing was going to be more difficult than having to endure practice with Bill Parcells. And so
But he clearly earned your respect in that way. I mean,
yeah,
it was a style that worked for certain people.
I watched him. I loved to watch him work, right? During practice, he would just subtly move around and he would make comments. And he wasn't yelling at people, but he would make comments and you would know what he meant. He would prepare guys for the games. He would always know which positions going into the game were going to be the critical positions for that game. And if he figured it was Jerry Ball for the Detroit Lions and I was playing against Jerry Ball, he would ride me that whole week and make sure I was ready for that game. And he'd say, Jerry Ball lit you up last time. I said, you gonna let this happen again, Oates? He'd always say, counselor, you gonna let that happen again? So he always had that little niche, that little way of motivating a guy so that he got the best of him. And little wonder the guy went out, and he's a Hall of Fame coach. Yep. He went to 4 teams. When they weren't playoff teams, he took them all to the playoffs, 2 of them to the Super Bowl.
But different styles of leadership.
Completely different. I hated him while I played for him, but respected him immensely.
Beasley, another source of inspiration, motivation that you could share.
It's the same story for me. I look back at my coaches and, so many wonderful memories. And like Bart, with Bill Parcells, I had a little-known defensive back by the name of Deke Pollard, and Deke drove me nuts. And but what I noticed is when I taught my sons how to play defensive back, and when I coached kids, about every word out of my mouth was Deke Pollard. Right. Every word. So it's amazing. All of these coaches, and in your life, you're around a lot of people. They all put a little touch of magic on your shoulder. They put a little something in your life that you draw on, whether you realize it or not. It's like a building block when you're around good people.
That's great. One more business-related question before we get to the big question. But I want to ask you about branding, marketing. You guys brought up social media a touch. When you have a team, you're all representing that team. And you got to remember that what you're putting out there reflects on the group you represent. Talk to me a little bit, Thurman, about sort of managing marketing and branding for the image of your companies.
Well, I mean, we've done a lot of branding, marketing, because we're minority-owned, certified in the state of New York. We've branched out a little bit, but really haven't, maybe into Florida. But I think when you think about marketing and branding, the people that you want out there doing it, they got to have the same passion that you have, that I have for my brand. Even though my brand is Thurman Thomas, and it's the 34 group. I have to have those same type of people out there.
They share in the mission.
They share the same mission that I want, being successful. Being successful and helping people. And the people that my wife and I have out there, they were doing exactly that. They were doing exactly that. Things that we've asked them to do for our company and for the people that work for us, they're doing it out there on the street. They're not just talking about the project. You know, a lot of my employees get involved in the project and the people that come and work on the project. We get involved with their lives. We get involved with everybody's life. We want to be involved with everybody that's on that project working. We want to know every single thing about it. What company you working for, who did you come from, and all that stuff. So we dig down deep because it's our brand that we have out there. It's my name, and I know that. And I want people to respect that. I want people to know that when they hear the 34 group, Thurman Thomas, I want them to say, that's a company you can work for, and that's a company that's real great.
The whole team shares the vision, and you've built a great group there. Ron?
Yeah, to me, it's pretty simple. My wife and I have this discussion many, many times about branding and who we are, what we are, and how do we want to be perceived. And my wife simply says, we're going to do the right thing. No matter what it may be, we're going to do the right thing. And we don't know what it might be, but we're going to do the right thing. And that leads me to something that I know with the group guys on the stage, how much they're involved with charity. And I have a foundation which has been around for 36 years. And we'll be having our 36th annual Ron Jaworski Celebrity Golf Classic in Atlantic City. Through that tournament, support of these guys and other NFL players, we've raised over $5 million for at-risk youth in our community. And those are the good things that we can do through the game of golf and through great relationship with dear friends like I have up here. But do the right thing, give back to the community, and your customers will be aware of that. And they will support you if they know you're not some greedy pig trying to get every dime out of their pocket, but we're actually giving bikes away and sending kids to school and doing those types of things that really do have a bigger impact on the community than we could all ever imagine.
Isn't golf a great vehicle for charity?
Way.
I mean, it's the best. Bart, some thoughts on branding, image?
Well, I have the privilege of working with Beasley closely in the NFL Alumni Association, and so we have a fairly strong brand. It's very recognizable, and we just have the opportunity to work with former players like Thurman and Ron to make a difference in other people's lives, former players who aren't doing near as well, and other organizations, charitable organizations that want to use our brand to help send a message or raise money for what they're passionate about. And so we understand it. We live it every single day and are out and looking for those relationships that are synergistic to what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish.
Very nice. Beasley?
Well, we are a marketing company. We are a golf company, and we are a charity. We annually, historically, average over $1 million a year making donations to local children's charities to our various chapters. So we're very proud of that, and that's part of our branding. When you say NFL alumni, we want you to think these are guys that are giving back and caring for kids. We also want you to know that we're caring for our own. When you talk about being a marketing company, I'm walking around here to every booth and shaking as many hands as I can, because what we do is we help you market your brand. We put you on our websites, we engage you with our famous alum, and we help you sell your goods and wares. So we are a marketing company the other way, helping you market your brand. So that's why we want to engage with you. And I'll see you out on the floor. Just grab me.
Boy, there's a reason we've got these four up here. I mean, they are doing the right thing. I can't tell you how much I've learned. I didn't even buy a ticket to this thing. This is incredible. But it's probably time for me to ask a very important question. Chiefs or 49ers? You got to just let us know. Chiefs or 49ers? I don't need point spreads or anything like that. Just let's have a winner.
Yeah, you know what? There's so much involved with this game. I mean, you look at Tennessee, I thought Derrick Henry was going to have over 200 yards rushing against Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. Then San Francisco, one guy turns around and gets over 200 yards. So is Kansas City going to be able to stop that running game? And if they do, can Jimmy Garoppolo win the football game for San Francisco 49ers? But since I'm an AFC guy, I'm going Kansas City. After all that, I'm going Kansas City. I just think Patrick Mahomes he's about to take over the league, I think, at the quarterback position. I think there's a reason why, you know, in the last couple of years, and even a year or so from now, you won't see Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Eli Manning, who's supposed to retire Friday. All these great quarterbacks that we've been watching for the last 15, 20 years, they're going away. And to me, there's one guy on top, 1 and 1A, Patrick Mahomes and probably Lamar Jackson. But with saying all that, I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs.
One for the Chiefs. What do you think, Bron?
Back in 1989, I played for the Kansas City Chiefs. Lamar Hunt signed my paycheck. So I'm going to stay very loyal to the team that paid me and pick the Chiefs 31-30.
With a score, no doubt. I love it. Bart, what do you think?
I think Bart wants me to go first.
I want to see what Beasley's going to say.
No, I think a lot of us, you can't talk to a pro about a game. You want to lose some money? Talk to a pro, because we have a coach.
Just bet the opposite way. He tells you.
We have a friend. You know, there's some heart in there. There's not a lot of science in there. And I was the host of the Andy Reid show. I was in Philadelphia as a sportscaster when he took me to 5 championship games and a Super Bowl. I love this man, and I want him to do well. I think he deserves to be a Super Bowl champion. What a great coach. So I'm going Chiefs with my heart. No intelligence. My heart, Kansas City.
I have a feeling this might not be unanimous. I don't know. Bart.
So, Andy Reid, we were teammates in college, and we had one of the greatest comebacks. We were down 24 points, and in the fourth quarter, playing the Holiday Bowl, wound up coming back and actually beat one of the best teams that money could buy in college at the time was Southern Methodist with Eric Dickerson and Craig James. And they were up 24 points. We come back in the last 3 minutes and beat them. Andy Reid was the tackle, I was the center. So we were teammates together. So however,
Don't bail on him.
So the 49ers have, in their franchise, the history, they've won 5 Super Bowls. Now I was privileged after 9 years with the Giants. I spent my last 2 years with San Francisco. One of them in 1994 being the last championship, that 5th championship that they've won. And no, this is not the ring from that championship, nor is it the ring where we beat Thurman's team. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Wow, look at the time.
In Miami, Super Bowl 29, 49ers won. The 49ers will win again in Miami for their 6th championship.
Well, there you have it, folks. And
no science, pure emotion.
No science.
listen, one of the things that I want to end with is clearly we've got class acts up here. We've got successes on the field and off the field. I hope you've been as inspired and motivated by them as I have. We can't thank you guys enough for being a part of this program. We really appreciate it. And as they said, they're around. You know what? Track them down. Get some more information. They're great guys, and they're great for golf, and I can't thank you all enough.
Thank
A round
you,
of
Ryan.
applause.
Thank you, Grant.